Hello there everyone, today's video is first reactions to the spring statement. So Rishi Sunak's spring statement, which was announced today, Wednesday. What does it mean? Tax announcements. Now, the first thing to say is, remember that the budget in the spring was moved to the autumn. So November is typically when we would expect to see all the big tax announcements. The spring statement, which used to have all the tax announcements, is basically just like a half-term report. How's the economy doing? That sort of thing. But of course, because of all the issues right now with the cost of living and inflation and everything else, it was trumpeted in the press as being more than a kind of a watered-down spring statement. And there was hope and anticipation that the Chancellor would announce some tax cuts rather than wait until the autumn statement to do so. So what exactly did he say? So, hot off the press. First of all, national insurance threshold will increase to the point at which it's aligned to the personal allowance threshold, which is just higher than 12,500. It's 12,570. So from July, doesn't start on the 6th of April, but from July, the point at which people will pay national insurance will rise to £12,570. Now, remember though, that there is this new social care levy, which is basically an increase in the percentage of national insurance payable. So remember, it's got this fancy title, social care levy, to pay for the pandemic, and then next year it changes its name to basically being an increase in national insurance, but to all intents and purposes, it's starting off as that. It's NI increase, that kicks in 6th of April, 1.25%. So the percentage that you pay national insurance will increase, but the point at which it starts is delayed, which is a good thing. So one offsets the other. People were hoping he was going to reverse that decision to increase the percentage, the 1.25%, but that didn't happen. So there was no rescinding of that previously announced introduction that starts on the 6th of April. However, what was a welcome announcement was the point at which NI kicks in. So obviously, the commentators have already crunched these numbers and verified the spin that the government's put on it. And basically, the sweet spot for this is £34,000 a year. If you earn £34,000 a year or less, you will actually be better off. So you'll pay less national insurance. So in other words, the point at which you start to pay more than offsets the increased percentage if you are earning 34 grand or less, which apparently 70% of all the workforce in the UK are. So 70% of people will be better off in terms of national insurance from the announcements today. So, next big thing, fuel duty. Hotly anticipated in the press, and indeed that did transpire, that there will be 5p a litre reduction in fuel duty that kicks in from 6 o'clock tonight. So that's good, because obviously the price of fuel has escalated, what with the issues in Ukraine and everything else. So a welcome announcement there. Next one, basic rate of income tax. Now this is just an aspiration from the government. Nothing that's going to happen overnight or in the next month or in 3 months. This is something that they would aspire to do, which is to get the basic rate of income tax down to 19% from 20% by the end of the Parliament. So by 2024, that is the aim of the government. The stated aim is to reduce a penny off the income tax, get it down to 19%. So hopefully that will transpire. When I think back to previous aspirations of the government on a similar vein, one of them being personal allowance. The personal allowance, it was always the intention of the Tory government to get up to 12,500 by the end of the Parliament, the previous Parliament, the 5-year blocks. And they did. They got there. They raised the personal allowance, and sure enough, by the end of the Parliament, they did hit that target that had been there for several years of having the personal allowance at 12.5 grand. So fingers crossed, this aspiration of getting to the basic rate of income tax dropping to 19% by the end of this Parliament will transpire. Okay. So what else? Energy saving equipment. If you install energy saving equipment in your home, such as solar panels, you will not pay any VAT on those products and that installation. So that's a good thing. So no VAT on insulating materials for your home. And another national insurance announcement for this time for employers. So as an employer, you have to pay employers' national insurance as well as the employees having to pay their employees' national insurance. But at the moment, you get what's called an employer's allowance, which basically says you tot up what your employer's NI bill is and you knock $4,000 off. That's been around for a few years. It started out as $3,000, then it went to 4,000. What the Chancellor announced today is that $4,000 will increase to $5,000. So that's a good thing. So yes, we know that the rates, the percentages of national insurance will increase because it applies to employers as well as employees, that extra 1.25% starting from in a little over a week's time. But for the employer to sweeten the pill, as it were, you'll get the first $5,000 without paying any employer's NI. So you basically get the credit. So whatever your employer's NI is, knock $5,000 off instead of $4,000. So an extra £1,000 there for all employers on their NI bill. I guess it's kind of like a similar measure to the fact on the flip side, on the employees, the point at which it kicks in is gone up that much higher, but they're saying, okay, well, that's going to benefit employees, but let's do something for the employers. Oh, okay, we'll increase the employer's allowance an extra £1,000. So just an overview there on the initial thoughts and reactions to today's spring statement. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please do subscribe and I'll see you soon.